Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to recap a 2022 action drama movie called Top Gun: Maverick. Warning, spoilers ahead, enjoy. Over 3 decades after his time at Top Gun, Captain Mitchell, Maverick, is serving as a US Navy test pilot. He's part of a program testing a prototype warplane designed to reach insane speeds of Mach 10, but on arriving to complete the Mach 9 test for the day, Maverick is informed that Admiral Kane, the Drone Ranger, is coming over that day to shut them down as they were unable to attain contract completion speed of Mach 10. Admiral Kane plans to redirect the funds to his drone programs, which he believes is the future. Despite the recent development, Maverick decided to take the jet for the Mach 10 test before Admiral Kane arrives. Taking off, he flies directly over Admiral Kane, who just arrived. Maverick takes it to Mach 9. He then pushes the jet further until he attained Mach 10. At this point the program was saved and Maverick could return to base, but he pushes the jet even further up to 10.4. The plane couldn't cope with the stresses placed on it at that supersonic speed. It begins malfunctioning, and spirals down out of the sky, as Maverick ejects out. We then see him walking into a diner, where everyone stares, unaware how far he has traveled. He asked where he was. A young boy answers, "Earth. Wow, I thought he was on the moon." Admiral Kane, who is unimpressed with Maverick's way of doing things, wants to ground Maverick for his recklessness, but instead informs him he has been summoned to North Island as a Top Gun instructor under the orders of Maverick's friend and former rival, Admiral Kozansky, Iceman, the commander of the US Pacific Fleet. Maverick, who was excited to be back at Top Gun, reports to Admirals Simpson and Bates. Admiral Simpson is particularly unimpressed with him, and makes it clear Maverick was briefed on the urgent mission to bomb a foreign country's unsanctioned uranium enrichment plant. The plant sits underground in a deep depression at the end of a canyon and is defended by surface-to-air missiles and 5th-generation Su-57 fighters operating from a nearby air base. Maverick gives his assessment of what will be required, thinking he'll be mission leader, but is stunned to discover he'll only teach and pick 6 out of 12 top US pilots. One of the 12 is Rooster, son of Goose, Maverick's wingman who died in an accident involving Maverick. Both Maverick and the admirals are aware of Rooster's resentment towards him. We soon find out why, so stick along. Maverick, left with no choice, agrees to teach. That evening Maverick visits the local bar. He is surprised to find his ex-love Penny runs the place. Maverick sees the 12 elite gun pilots he is to teach. They wondered who would be assigned to teach them, as they're the best of the best. Maverick is thrown outside for being unable to pay his bar bills. Apparently if you leave your phone on the bar, you have to buy everyone there a drink. He sees Rooster playing Great Balls of Fire on the piano, as he and Goose did many years ago. Next day the 12 are shocked to see the man they threw out of the bar was actually their teacher. He's carrying the massive manual for their F-18 fighter planes, but throws it in the bin, saying, their enemies certainly knows it as well as they do, encouraging them that it's about the pilot, not the plane. Maverick addresses his students on his plans to attack with 2 pairs of Super Hornets, which will fly low through a canyon and destroy the plant. The pilots begin their training, which was fierce and fun. They try to outmaneuver Maverick in their planes, but he always manages to track and kill them, and once dead, back at base, they have to do 200 push-ups. During one practice, Rooster and Maverick are in a battle of wills and wits, and both plummet nearly to the ground, well below the ordered hard deck altitude limit of 5,000 feet, before climbing again. Maverick is summoned to see Admiral Simpson, who is furious they broke the hard deck, even though Maverick reminds him the pilots will have to fly way lower during the mission. It turns out that Simpson is less bothered about the pilots returning home than simply successfully bombing the facility. He orders Maverick to inform him each morning what he'll be teaching the pilots that day, and Maverick immediately puts in a request to lower the hard deck. Maverick goes back to the bar with the money he owes Penny and finds her daughter Amelia there. He agrees to help Penny sail their boat to the yard for repairs as Amelia has to study. Later he takes Penny home on his bike but isn't invited in. In training, Maverick tells the 12 pilots that time is your greatest enemy. They'll be flying at a maximum of 100 feet above the ground to avoid radar, going very fast. They will have 2.5 minutes to complete their bombing mission and get out. The absolute success of this mission is dependent on the pilots, and they, on each other. When they analyze each other's failures in training, He makes them think about what they would tell their fellow pilots' families if their colleague died. Maverick goes to visit Iceman, whose wife tells him the Admiral's cancer is back and currently untreatable. He communicates mostly by typing on a screen. Maverick tells him Rooster isn't ready and doesn't want to learn from him. He asks Iceman if he can go instead. "It's time to let go," types Iceman, though Maverick admits he doesn't know how. They hug before Maverick leaves. Admiral Simpson can't find anyone on the base, as they're all playing dogfight football on the beach, with Penny in the background doing paperwork. This is Maverick's attempt to build team cohesion. Maverick stays at Penny's and they end up in bed. He explains to her why Rooster hates him. Rooster's mother asked Maverick, before she died, to hold back Rooster's Naval Academy application as she didn't want him to fly. Maverick also didn't think he was ready. Maverick doesn't want to tell him it was his late mother's request, as it is best if he only blames Maverick. Amelia comes home unexpectedly, and Penny makes him climb out of her bedroom window. He does, but tells her he's never leaving her again. Amelia spots him escaping and demands he doesn't break her mother's heart again. The mission is moved up a week as the facility will become operational sooner than expected. Bombing an operational nuclear facility would mean radiation affecting allied countries nearby. During another training session, one of the 12, Coyote, passes out, going into G-lock gravity-induced loss of consciousness. Maverick goes after him hoping to wake him with the missile lock beeping. He then snaps out of it, and is able to pull up just in time. A sudden bird strike then causes Bob and Phoenix's plane to loosen engine and ignites. They manage to eject just in time before it crashes. Afterwards, Maverick speaks to Rooster, who asks why Maverick pulled his application. Maverick tells him he wasn't ready to trust his instincts. Telling if he thinks up there he's dead, Rooster wants to believe in Maverick like his dad did, but can't. Iceman dies, and he was Maverick's most senior supporter. Maverick along with the pilots, attend his funeral to pay their respects. Admiral Simpson calls Maverick in and tells him he's off the project, and grounded forever. Penny later tells him not to give up. Admiral Simpson takes over the teaching of the 12 pilots, briefing them on the new plan, which is less risky on approach but riskier on exit. He tells them they will fly higher and have 4 minutes to reach their target, much longer than Maverick had given them. When they question him about these tactics, and how it makes them far more vulnerable to enemy fighters finding them, he says they stand a better chance in a dogfight than in crashing their planes against a steep-sided mountain. As he's teaching, they see that on the practice simulation behind him, which tracks real-life flying and maps it over the mission's terrain on a screen. Someone is actually performing the maneuvers how they need to be performed during the mission. Straight up the side of the mountain, down the other side, hit the target and fly steeply out in time to escape opposing bombers. It's Maverick, and he manages to do it in 2 minutes 15 seconds, while reaching 10 Gs. This impressed everyone, proving the mission is possible. Admiral Simpson tells Maverick he's in a difficult position. On one hand he could court-martial Maverick and kick him out, or make him mission leader and risk his own career. He is convinced and reluctantly appoints Maverick as strike leader. The night before the mission, Maverick visits Penny in his ceremonial white uniform, presumably to say goodbye in case he doesn't make it back. With Maverick flying a solo fighter for the mission, there are only 5 spots left. Maverick chooses Phoenix and Bob in one plane, Payback and Fanboy in another, with Rooster as his wingman in another solo fighter. Hangman and the others are to remain on standby. On the day of the mission, Hangman is left on the aircraft carrier. As they prepare to get into their planes, Maverick and Rooster have a conversation of sorts. Rosoder wants to speak to him but Maverick asks him to leave it till they return. He then calls out to Rooster saying, "You got this," acknowledging he is finally ready. The team launches from the aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt, while the guided missile cruiser USS Leyte Gulf fires Tomahawk cruise missiles, targeted to destroy the air base near the plant. First they all descended low below radars. Once the missiles hit, any undamaged bombers will be out looking for the US aircraft. Maverick and his team fly low and fast through the valleys, 100 feet off the ground, through viaducts, past ground-to-air missiles primed and ready to launch. Rooster is flying too slow, and falling behind, and time is of the essence. He's losing his nerve, calling to his father, until he reminds himself to, "Don't think," something Maverick often says. Payback and Fanboy manage to catch up in the 2 necessary miracles, the initial bomb to open up a way into the underground complex, and the second bomb to blow it all up, making the bombing successfully accomplished. They then all have to pull steeply out, over the edge of the top of the mountain known as Coffin Corner. Maverick and Phoenix get detected, while Fanboy and Rooster flies high enough to get detected. They are attacked by surface-to-air missiles and a pair of patrolling Su-57 felons. When Rooster runs out of countermeasures, Maverick heads round to protect Rooster, who is out of flares. Maverick is shot down. Believing Maverick to be killed in action, the remaining aircraft are ordered to return to the carrier. Maverick ejects into snow in an open area, when he sees an enemy helicopter coming for him. He's shot at but isn't hit. Just as he thinks it's over, the helicopter is blown up. It's Rooster who came back against orders. Rooster's plane is shot down by another surface-to-air missile and he ejects nearby. Maverick runs through the forest to meet him, but when he finds him is furious towards the destroyed airbase. Maverick has a plan to steal an ancient F-14 plane from the bombed enemy airfield which is parked in a hangar and seems undamaged. The two manage to sneak over the partially destroyed runway and get it going, though Maverick has to take off almost vertically along a very short taxiway. The F-14 loses its landing gear as it clips a viaduct during takeoff. Maverick has flown these back in the days with Rooster's dad as his wingman. Rooster is in the back, the position of Goose when flying with Maverick. He's baffled by the many switches but starts to work it all out so he can get the radio and radar to work. Two Su-57s comes after them. Maverick and Rooster try to pretend to be local fighters. They're rumbled though, and the enemy fighters go into attack formation. Maverick decides to engage in a dogfight with these 5th-gen fighters, a stupid idea in his ancient F-14. He manages to shoot one down. While the other engages, he eventually destroys the jet. As they thought it was over, a third jet arrives as they run out of ammunition and countermeasures. Flying out over the sea, Maverick wants them to eject but Rooster's ejector handles aren't working. It looks like the end for them as they await their doom. The enemy aircraft locks onto them and prepares to fire. Suddenly it goes down in a fireball, as Hangman arrives from standby to shoot down the Su-57. Both planes do a flypast, then come in to land on the aircraft carrier. Though the F-14 has no landing gear, the nets are set up to catch it as it lands, and prevent it going over the far end into the sea. Maverick, Rooster and Hangman exit their aircraft and are surrounded by cheering colleagues. Hangman and Rooster shake hands, while Maverick and Rooster hug. Standing higher up, Admiral Bates and even Admiral Simpson acknowledge what Maverick has achieved. Maverick goes to the bar to see Penny but she's gone on a sailing trip. Some time after the mission, Maverick and Rooster work together on a P-51 Mustang, at a hangar near the test facility where Maverick was previously stationed. He sees Penny's daughter Amelia is watching him. Outside is her mom. Maverick takes Penny up for a ride in the P-51, which flies into the distance. Rooster walks to a photo board and acknowledges a photo of their mission's success, alongside a photo of his late father and a younger Maverick. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the recap. Subscribe for more, also leave a like, and check out these videos now. See you next time on History, Mythology, Fiction and Science.